I was walking behind my garage last week when I spotted something half buried in the junk pile. An old mini fridge compressor. Most people would have walked right past it, but I stopped because I had a crazy idea. Every summer here in Texas, my electricity bill goes through the roof. Last year alone, I paid over $480 just for air conditioning in 3 months. That's when I started thinking, what if I could build something that actually cools my garage using nothing but sunlight? And what if I could do it without spending hundreds of dollars on a brand new unit? That's when I saw this old compressor sitting there, covered in dust and rust. It came from a mini fridge that died years ago. Most people throw these things away without a second thought, but I kept looking at it and wondering, inside, this beat-up piece of metal is still a working pump, the same kind of pump that runs in real air conditioners. What if I could turn this piece of junk into something useful? So here's the plan. I'm going to take this old fridge compressor, connect it to a small solar panel I already have, and try to build a real working air conditioner. Not a toy, not just a fan blowing over some ice. I want a system that can actually drop the temperature in my garage using free energy from the sun. Sounds simple, right? It's not. And that's exactly why I'm doing it. Before we go any further, I need to be completely honest with you. Working with an old refrigeration compressor involves both electricity and refrigerant gas. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be dangerous. I'm not a certified HVAC technician. I'm just a regular guy who likes to tinker and repurpose old things. So everything you see me do in this video, I researched thoroughly and carried out with caution. If you decide to try something like this yourself, please do the same. Here's what I'm working with. I already have the old compressor. I also have a 200-watt solar panel, a cheap charge controller, some copper tubing, a small condenser coil I pulled from another dead appliance, and basic insulation materials. The missing pieces are refrigerant, a few fittings, and honestly, a lot of patience. Total money I've spent on this project so far? Less than $40. But before I touch a single tool, there's something you need to know about old compressors like this, something that almost nobody talks about. And if you miss it, the whole project could be over before it even starts. The first thing I did was carefully take the compressor out of the old mini fridge it came from. These units are usually secured with just a few screws and rubber mounts. I worked slowly because the copper pipes connected to it could still have pressure inside. Old compressors sometimes retain residual refrigerant, even years after the fridge stopped working. That's why I kept my gloves and safety glasses on the entire time. Once I got the compressor out, I inspected it closely. Surprisingly, the body looked to be in decent shape despite sitting outside for so long. There wasn't much rust on the casing. However, the electrical terminals were corroded. I cleaned them carefully with a wire brush and then checked the resistance of the motor windings with a multimeter. The reading came back normal, which was a relief. It meant the compressor motor was likely still good. The next step was figuring out how to build a working cooling system around this old compressor. I had salvaged a small condenser coil from another broken appliance, along with some copper tubing. My plan was straightforward. Connect the discharge line from the compressor to the condenser, run it through a capillary tube into the evaporator, and then back to the suction side of the compressor. Before making any permanent connections, I had to safely release any remaining pressure inside the compressor. I used a piercing valve and slowly vented the gas in a well-ventilated area. This is an important safety step. You should never cut into old refrigeration lines without first releasing the pressure. After that, I began assembling everything on my workbench. I mounted the compressor onto a wooden base, secured the condenser with brackets, and placed the evaporator inside a small insulated box I made from foam board. For the electrical side, I reused the original start relay and overload protector from the fridge. I also connected the system to my solar setup, running the 200-watt panel through a charge controller and into a small battery for testing. At this point, the system was physically complete. It wasn't neat or professional looking, but it was put together and ready for its first test. I double-checked every connection and made sure there were no obvious leaks. Everything seemed ready. But as I stood back and looked at everything I had put together, I had a feeling that turning it on for the first time wasn't going to be simple. With everything connected and double-checked, it was finally time to turn the system on for the first time. I flipped the switch, and the compressor started up with a loud hum. At first, I felt a small wave of excitement. It was running, but after a few minutes, I realized something was off. The compressor was getting hot, much hotter than it should have been. And more importantly, there was no cooling coming from the evaporator at all. I placed a thermometer inside the insulated box and another one near the condenser. After running for about 20 minutes, the temperature inside the box had actually gone up slightly instead of going down. The condenser was extremely hot to the touch, and I could hear the compressor struggling. This wasn't just not cooling. Something was clearly wrong. I shut the system off and started checking everything again. That's when I noticed the capacitor looked old and swollen. I tested it with my multimeter and confirmed it was bad. On top of that, the insulation on the evaporator box was poor. Cold air was escaping too easily, and the system wasn't sealed properly. But the biggest issue might have been the refrigerant. Since this was an old compressor that had been sitting unused for years, it was very likely low on gas or had leaks I hadn't found yet. I stood there in the garage feeling frustrated. I had spent hours building this thing, and it wasn't working. For a moment, I seriously considered giving up. It felt like I had wasted my time on something that was never going to work. But after calming down, I realized I had made several beginner mistakes. I rushed the assembly without properly checking the capacitor. I didn't seal the insulated box well enough. And I didn't properly diagnose the condition of the refrigerant before testing. This first failure taught me something important. Building a working refrigeration system from old parts isn't as simple as just connecting everything and hoping it works. There were still several problems I needed to fix before I could even think about calling this project a success. After the first test failed, I almost gave up. But instead of throwing everything away, I decided to figure out what went wrong and try to fix it. The biggest issues were clear: the bad capacitor, poor insulation, and most likely, low refrigerant. I started with the easiest problem first. Since I already knew from the first test that the capacitor was bad, I went ahead and replaced it with a new one that had the correct specifications. It only cost about $8 and arrived the next day. Once I installed it, the compressor started much more smoothly and reliably than before. Next, I improved the insulation on the evaporator box. I added more foam board, sealed all the gaps with tape, and made sure cold air had nowhere to escape. This alone made a noticeable difference in how the system held temperature. The most difficult part was dealing with the refrigerant. Since the compressor was old and had been sitting unused for years, it was very likely low on gas. I decided to add some R134 refrigerant to see if it would help. However, I want to be very clear here. Handling refrigerant can be dangerous and, in many places, requires proper certification. I did this carefully, using the right gauges and following safety procedures. If you're not experienced with refrigeration work, I strongly recommend taking the system to a professional instead of trying this yourself. After adding a small amount of refrigerant and checking the pressures, I turned the system on again. This time, the compressor ran much smoother and quieter. The condenser wasn't overheating like before, and after about 15 minutes, I could feel cold air coming from the evaporator. It wasn't extremely cold yet, but it was definitely working. I spent the next few hours making small adjustments, improving the solar connection so the compressor received stable power, adding better airflow around the condenser, and fine-tuning the insulation even more. Each change helped the system perform a little better. By the end of the day, I finally had something that could actually produce cooling using solar power and an old compressor. It wasn't perfect, and it still had limitations, but it was working. The biggest lesson from this stage was that patience and careful troubleshooting matter more than rushing to get results. After making all the adjustments and fixes, it was finally time to run a proper test and see what this old compressor could actually do. I placed a digital thermometer inside the insulated box and turned the system on under full sunlight. The compressor started smoothly, and within about 20 minutes, I could feel a steady stream of cool air coming out. After running for 90 minutes, the temperature inside the box dropped from 92 degrees Fahrenheit down to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a 16-degree drop, using nothing but an old fridge compressor and solar power. It wasn't as cold as a commercial air conditioner, but for a DIY system built from scrap parts, the result was honestly better than I expected. The compressor ran quietly and didn't overheat like it did during the first test. I also checked how long the system could run on solar alone. With my 200-watt panel and DC sunlight, it was able to operate for around 5 to 6 hours during the day without draining the small battery I had connected. That meant I could get several hours of cooling for free every sunny day. In total, I spent less than $50 on this entire project, mostly on the new capacitor, some insulation materials, refrigerant, and a few fittings. Everything else came from old appliances I already had or found for free. Compared to buying a new window, air conditioner, or even a small portable unit, this was incredibly cheap. Looking back, the biggest lesson I learned is that patience and careful troubleshooting are far more important than trying to rush a project like this. I made plenty of mistakes along the way, but each failure taught me something valuable about how refrigeration systems actually work. Reusing old parts is possible, but it requires respect for the dangers involved, especially when dealing with electricity and refrigerant gas. If you're thinking about trying something similar, start small, do your research, and never skip safety steps. Working with old compressors can be rewarding, but it can also be risky if you're not careful. Standing in my garage feeling actual cold air coming from something I pulled out of the trash, that moment made every single failure worth it. If you have an old compressor lying around somewhere, maybe it's time to give it a second chance. Just make sure to do it safely. Thanks for watching. If you built something like this or have questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more projects like this. See you in the next one.